All right, guys, we are back with another episode of the Deep End, big number 23. And let's just cut right to the chase. Ari, dude, it's been a week. Where are you at? Where are you at right now?
First of all, I got to contain myself. Ryan, I think I've spoken to you about this way too much. I think I've mentioned it here on the channel quite often. And I know I've been blowing up Blossom with some portfolio updates. Not even really updates, just like brokerage account. That's the total value updates.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm so excited is because I'm just around the corner from $300,000 in the brokerage account. And as of today, just before I jumped on here, I'm now sitting at 280, just above 280,000. And so I'm
Dang,
stoked
dude.
about that. And by the way, this entire podcast, everybody, is powered up by Blossom. So catch my portfolio and Ryan's portfolio on Blossom, where you can get my very annoying portfolio updates and all my excitement coming through. And Ryan had some killer updates that I want to get into in a moment.
Yeah,
And I'll just share, man, I'm stoked because, when I set a goal and I throw some words out into the world, and share it with everybody, I'm going to hit it. And I don't stop until I do. And so just a few weeks back, I was like, you know what? 3 months, I'm going to knock out that 300,000. I'm going to cross it. And a few weeks later, I'm at 280, man.
you said that how long ago? A few months ago, you said?
So I set $300,000 in the brokerage account as like the goal for 2025.
You know what? Can I actually stop
Go
you right
ahead.
there
Go
and
ahead.
correct you? I wrote down, so we did an episode coming into 2025 talking about our investing goals for this year.
Oh, man. What did I put?
I have them written down, and I wanted to, going into this episode, I wanted to bring them up. So your actual goal wasn't, it started out 300K, like your goal, I
350.
think. Oh, no. So your goal going into 2025 was to add $100,000 in value. And this was at a starting point of 235,000. So coming into the year, you were at 235K. So by the end of the year, and we can adjust these goals too, by the way. By the end of the
No,
year,
it's
you
out
should
there,
be
man. It's
okay.
in stone for me.
You should be shooting for 335K. That's the goal. So
Done deal.
that's 50K from here, and you're already up 50K so far this year.
Let me share this with you, man.
Okay.
So Blossom kind of messed me up. Not because of Blossom, because of me. I joined Blossom after meeting some of the guys at a conference, and then you Ryan have always been hyping Blossom up. So then I joined Blossom, and then I had to input a goal into Blossom when you create the account.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and that's where I put like 300,000, right, is my goal. And so yes, you corrected me. $100,000 added into the portfolio over the course of the year was the goal. What was it when we spoke before the new year?
Yeah, it was. We'll have to go back and look at the exact date, but we did one of our earliest episodes, like one of the first three, was titled "Our Investing Goals for 2025." So in that video, we shared our investing goals for this year. So that was one of yours. Another, your only other goal that you had, and I think you've already accomplished this one, was to continue trimming your number of holdings. So you've already
Yeah.
checked that box. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been like checking that box every day.
Yeah.
But look, 200, and someone commented on a Blossom post I had the other day. I'm so excited that I can't contain the energy, right? So I'm like, I'm talking about it. I'm in it. I'm in the zone. I'm at a peak state right now where it's like I am in this zone. You can't stop me. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to attack it. And so someone commented on one of my Blossom posts, and they were like, it doesn't help anybody when you post this. And I hope that
I saw
character is
that.
watching this, because actually I've gotten a lot of messages that said it's really motivating just to see how quickly you can grow an account. That aside, I will say this. If you're a negative Nancy out there and you have to rain on somebody else's parade when they're on the upswing, like, shame on you. That's what I'm going to say about that. I appreciate the input, right? Like, I don't really care if it's helping anybody or not. At the end of the day, like I said, it's energy. And for me, I surround myself with a close circle of people that have fire energy, and therefore it's contagious. So, I'm hot right now. I'm in it. I'm in the zone. And you know what? I'm going to say something crazy. I want to knock out $300,000 in the brokerage account within a month and a half from now. Will I be able to do it? I don't know, but I'm on fire right now. And so that's audacious. That's bold. That's crazy. But I'm going to tell you this, any means necessary. I'm crossing that mark, month and a half, tops 2 months. But I also, see, you can already see this energy is wild. You had texted me earlier today and talking about trimming goals. I think I know what you were alluding to in your text. I think. And then I saw a Blossom post. So I didn't want to read your Blossom post today because I was hoping that it wasn't going to then jump into this conversation. And then I kind of got the preview. So I stopped myself from reading it. Ryne, what the heck did you do to your portfolio? Did you buy something?
Well,
Did you sell something? What happened?
no, I sold something, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I did officially finally sell out of Altria Group. I pulled the trigger on it.
Woo! It's gone. Can I ask what was the final motivator or the final factor?
Well, I think after we initially talked about it, I was ready to pull the trigger anyway. After that, I kind of got lazy, to be honest with you. But yesterday I was like, I had some time. I didn't want to sell it until I could sit down and figure out how to reinvest that money. And so yesterday I had time to do exactly that. So as soon as the market opened, I sold the entire position, sold all 56 shares in my portfolio, and then reinvested that immediately back into the portfolio. And I'll be putting out a video on that I think this weekend. I won't spill the beans on which stocks entirely. I'll tell you off camera. I don't want to spoil the surprise for everyone else, but I did reinvest into 3 different stocks, and fortunately I didn't take too many steps backwards in terms of my annual dividend income. That was kind of a big deal for me, and it was going to be hard to replace that income from Altria, obviously, just because it's such a high yielder. But I think I did pretty good with the reinvestments, took a slight step backwards in terms of income, but I think it'll be 1 step backward to then take 2 steps forward. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if you guys remember us talking about this a few weeks ago, I think my reasoning for letting go of Altria was totally sensible. And so ultimately, nonetheless, no matter what it did to the income, I feel good about the move. But yeah, that was a tough one to pull the trigger on because, or to push the sell button on, because I'd had that ever since I started investing, but it feels good,
It's a sentimental hold.
Yeah, kind of a weird one to be sentimental about, but yeah, I feel good. I'm glad. I think I made the right move. I do.
I have 2 questions for you. First question is, does it feel how does it feel like a weight off your back that the move has been made? And then the second question, just to quickly follow it up with this one, the market has been the last couple of days on an upswing, and I want to talk about that also because you, my friend, are almost at the 100K mark in your portfolio. That's the Blossom message that I read today, but we'll circle back to that. Because the market's on an upswing, did it worry you to sell out of Altria and then immediately invest, or did you not even think about that?
I was concerned about that. But what are you going to do? I was ready to sell. I didn't want to sit on the cash. So, I don't know. It'll be fine. In the long run, it'll be fine. I was worried about it, but it's going to work out just fine. So I'm not losing too much sleep over it, What do you think about that? Do you think that's the right way to think about it, or is there a better way to think about that?
I didn't expect you to spend this on me, so
Oh, sorry. My bad.
No, the pressure's on now. What I typically do, this is just a personal thing. First of all, I understand where it's trash, cash is trash, that type of deal. So just don't let cash sit around. And I honestly made a big mistake. What was it, last year or 2, whenever it was, maybe 2 years ago. But I was sitting on just the mother load of cash. And I was like, I'm going to be Ari Buffett and sit on this cash pile and wait for an opportunity. And then, it was last year. Just the S&P alone was skyrocketed by over 22%. And I was looking at my $30,000 and I was like, damn, Ari, you should have just put that in. So there's that element to it. But I still, within me, I cannot for the life of me get myself to pull buy triggers on green days. I just can't. I don't know if it's like a mental block where I'm like, I see green and I'm like, no. I will. The only time I'll buy on a green day, because I do dollar cost average every week, and I at least dump some money into the S&P every week, or a tech-oriented ETF. And so by Friday, if I have found nothing to invest into and allocate some capital into, or dollar cost average, I will at least buy the S&P. Doesn't matter if it's green, red, purple, whatever, fire blaze, market melting down, or like, Trump just tweeted, everybody buy now and the market's soaring. Like, I will have to buy on Friday before the markets close if I haven't actually dollar cost average into anything. But I am not, to answer your question, like, it spooks me out to sell a position and then buy on a green day unless the stock is, red, at least on some sort of discount.
Yeah, I get you. I will say that, fortunately, I think 2 out of the 3 stocks have been down in the last year. Like, one of the stocks is down 10% over the last 365 days. So, at least there's that. But I totally know what you mean. And maybe, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking maybe that's also, like, aside from my own laziness, maybe that's also part of the reason I waited to sell out of Altria, because it seemed like things were, since we talked about it, things have been pretty good in the market. And so maybe that was also part of the concern. But, like I said, it was like number 2 or get off the pot, as they say. And I just decided to take the number 2. So
dumped.
Yeah, exactly. But I want to share with you, man, where the portfolio's at now, because this is...
Yeah, let's circle back to that. That was actually... That's when I saw, because you wrote a few Blossom posts today,
but that had nothing to do with the portfolio either. Actually, kind of while we're on the subject, I've been having a lot of fun posting on Blossom lately. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm taking like my newsletter articles and old Q&A stuff that I've answered like in the newsletter, and I'm posting that on Blossom, and that's been really cool. Really cool just to see the response on that. And I think it's opened up that content and those words to people who otherwise wouldn't have seen it. And so I've been having a lot of fun just kind of reposting that stuff over on Blossom and just seeing the response.
Bravo
so that's
to you.
What you saw.
You hit 30K on Blossom followers.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was cool.
You bloomed on Blossom.
And I think that's less about me doing anything. Like, that's got nothing to do with me, really. I think that more so just speaks to how the community's growing over there. And I think I can speak for both of us when I say I'm feel fortunate to be a part of it. It's been really cool to see that platform growing. And it's been really cool to see more and more people just taking an interest in investing. I saw a post. I know we're getting sidetracked, but I saw a post on Instagram today. It was a story that Charles Schwab had put up on their account. And they said that, like, it was talking about the age ranges for like when people start investing. And it was something like, baby boomers started on average when they were like 33. Gen X started investing when they were like 31. And actually, as I'm saying this, it was specific to women. So this was just women.
That makes this all that more interesting.
Yeah.
Like why women?
Well, yeah.
Just women.
I don't know. It's just, that's a good question. But millennial women are starting even younger. On average, they're starting to invest at around 27 years old. And I'm sure that similar trend carries over into men as well. But generally speaking, I think that just goes to show how much good more awareness and more people talking about this stuff can do, and how much of an impact it can have. It can get people starting to invest years before they otherwise would have. And I think that's just one of the most powerful things about having the internet and having access to all this information. And that's one of the great things about platforms like Blossom, not just Blossom, but anywhere that anyone can talk about investing. It's just making such a positive impact.
Ryan, remind me when you became a blossomer.
Ooh.
When did you jump on?
It's maybe been a couple years at this point. Maybe, no, a year and a half maybe. I think I maybe started on Blossom in like November or December 2023. So I've been on it for a while.
I remember you mentioning it to me. And I was like, yeah, okay. You know, and then I remember obviously, and then numbers with Nina was like Blossom, and I was like, yeah, okay. You know, it just goes to show you really. What I want to commend you, I have so much to talk to you about, man. What I want to commend you for, though, is I've watched you over the last year and a half. I feel like take more daring, and I don't even know if they're daring, but more risks, slash rewards opportunities, because even you have the Walmart store now, which is epic, and looks like it's been a tremendous success for you.
So far, let's knock on wood on that one.
You jumped into Blossom, you jumped into the Walmart store, and to me, it's just very commendable. Versus me, I was like, okay, I'm going in this tunnel vision, investing, just using at that time I was using just tip ranks and just making YouTube videos, and like that was my deal. But I remember all the chats when you were starting everything, man. It's cool to see where you're at now. Anyways, let's circle back. You're almost at 100,000. What's the deal? Are you gonna hit it this week or next week?
Dude, it could happen. If tomorrow and Friday, we're recording this on Wednesday, if tomorrow and Friday are anything like how today and yesterday have been, then yeah, we'll be there. As we're speaking in this moment,
let's go.
I'm sitting at $99,161. So we are officially, for the first time ever,
you're gonna hit it this week.
Less than $1,000 from hitting that 100K mark. It's so crazy. And as it's been getting, and it's just a number at the end of the day. I mean, it's a cool milestone. It's a big one. It's a big deal. But it's also just a number. But still, as it's been approaching this, because I've been posting about it, like you, I've been posting about it on Blossom, been posting about it on YouTube, I've been posting about it on Instagram, and everyone's always asking like, how are you going to celebrate? What are you going to do to celebrate? When are we going to have margaritas on the dividend happy hour or something like that? And it's got me thinking, I don't know how we're going to celebrate. I was talking to my wife about it right before we hopped on, and I was saying we should do something special. We should at least like go to dinner or something like that, and
you got to make like a funny TikTok video, maybe like a dance video, a 6-figure dividend dance. That's a new video, new trend.
I would lose my entire audience base if I posted a video of me dancing. So
6-figure dividend dance coming up.
There you go. There you go. But no, I do think it would be like a fun vlog or something, just to show that reaction, show the initial reaction of seeing it for the first time, and also showing how we celebrate. So whatever we end up doing, I'll take all of you guys along for the ride with me. It'll be fun.
Have you read I feel like you might have read this book, but have you read the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight?
No, but that one,
dude,
I really want to read that one. I listened to, do you know the Acquired podcast? Have you heard of that?
No.
You would really like that podcast. So the Acquired podcast, they do these extremely deep dives on various companies, whether it's Nike or Microsoft or Starbucks or Standard Oil. And these episodes are like 3 hours a pop. Sometimes they do like multiple installments to cover one company.
Are we talking like financial statements, or like what do they go deep on?
A lot of it's like just the history of the company. And also it usually starts with the history of the company. Then it gets into like where they started, where they are today, how it's changed, the competitive advantages, the risks, and kind of the future for the company. But anyway, all that's to say, after listening to their episode, and they pulled a lot of the information from Shoe Dog, it made me want to read that book. So I do have it on the list.
If anybody out there is looking for a phenomenal read, that for me, I couldn't put that book down. Shoe Dog is your book. It is just an epic story, the story of Nike, and intertwined in that is Phil Knight's story, and it is just it's a powerful, it's emotional, and it's like, read the book. What I want to get into is there's a chapter that goes into basically the night that Phil Knight became an overnight millionaire. And he went to bed one night, just average Joe, and then woke up the next, it was after the big IPO, right? And boom, guy's a multi-millionaire. Like, he did it. And then he goes on to describe the feeling. And him and his wife, he goes into this moment with him and his wife laying in bed together, chatting about how it feels. I don't want to even talk about it any further because I don't want to spoil it. But the conversation and the thought process, it's epic and it's amazing. And it's exactly what happened to me after I hit $100,000 in my brokerage account. And it's exactly what's going to happen to me when I hit $300,000 in a month and a half or 2 months from now. It's that exact feeling and that exact thought of so on and so forth.
Okay, so it was a pretty fleeting feeling. It came and it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can literally close my eyes and remember how he wrote it. And I'm a big reader, big writer, and so I like, sensationally speaking, I can put myself back in that moment and just be like, yes, I relate to it. But everybody's got to read that book. If you are chasing money, money's your end goal, you got to read that book. And if you're chasing how to build a successful business, you got to read that book. If you love Nike, you got to read that book. If you want to start a company, you should read that book. Just read that book. But I'm also happy that you brought up this question of how are you going to celebrate. And I think we talked about this a couple times, celebrating wins. But I think it would be a pretty good conversation to have now. I'll tell you what.
I'm glad because I wanted to bring it to this right here. So we're on the same page.
I love
here.
this is how the deep end works. It just works. It flows so nicely. The past couple of weeks have just been running some numbers. And as, I sit here and I run these numbers and I was like, what would happen if I took all the money in my brokerage? So $280K right now. We'll play with that. Because I just ran these numbers before I jumped on. Okay, so 280,000, and I'm constantly doing this every day. And I took all of that and I forgot about investing entirely. I put all of that into the S&P 500, and I didn't look at it for 35 years. I let it compound once annually. I did not add anything to it. I literally did nothing. How much would I have in 35 years by the time I hit the ripe old age to enter the retirement pasture would be 7.8 million.
Wow.
And then I go back and I run the numbers and I say, well, what happens if I started so late? And later than even now?
Let's
just say I start now, right? Because let's just be real. So many 30, 40-year-olds are literally either haven't started or just getting started. And I was like, what happens if I didn't start a decade ago? And I plug in some numbers. Dude, I barely even touch 300,000. Barely even 250.
What's the
if I just put in 10K.
Okay.
That's a lot of money for some people. At 30 years old, at 35, at 40 years old, to just throw in 10K. People don't throw in 10K, right? And then, by the way, don't think I didn't add the contributions to this guy, the late bloomer. And he still comes up short. And so the reason why I'm even bringing this into the conversation is because I'm doing some celebrating. And I'm speaking next week. Actually, this time next week when we have our next conversation, I will not be in my humble abode here, and I will be in Cyprus, and then I will be in Greece and Mykonos all next week. And I'll tell you, I'm in Cyprus because I'm speaking at a massive financial conference, which is going to be epic. I invite all of you to come.
I'd be scared out of my boots. That is not my thing.
Yeah, you'd be gone, man. But I'll be speaking, and that's going to be epic. And then I'm going to go to Mykonos, and the reason why I'm going to Mykonos is because I'm celebrating, and that's what I want to loop into here. I passed the SIE. I got the Series 7 coming up now in a couple of weeks, 17 days. Which is when I'm going to finish the manual again, by the way. Because for anybody out there who doesn't know, I started studying for the Series 7, and then they were like, excuse me, you got to take the SIE first. And I was like, okay. I took the SIE. I took like a 3 week break from studying for the Series 7, past the SIE, back to this Series 7. I feel more confident than ever. I'm going through the manual again, and I'm like, man, you got this. Focus. Yeah, I heard this from a Kobe Bryant video earlier today, but it's like, if you're ever feeling nervous in life, it's because you didn't put the prep work in. I'm not nervous at all right now, man. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I am smooth sailing. I feel good. I feel ready. I feel calm. And I'm going for that Series 7. But in the interim, I'm like, man, I'm going to go to Cyprus. I'm going to speak. I'm going to hit $300,000 in that brokerage account. Calm about that one. But even if I don't, and I just put 280,000 in the S&P and let that baby ride for 35 years, I'm still a millionaire. And so I was like, I'm going to freaking Mykonos, man. I am going to go celebrate because I work freaking hard, man. I don't really celebrate all that much. But
yeah,
there's a time and a place, and I was like, you owe you. So Ron, I want to say, man, I hope you do celebrate. I think you owe you, man. You've been crushing it.
Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And likewise, I know that you've been trying to take some sort of vacation for at least a handful of months now. So I'm glad to see that you're finally able to make it happen. A little R&R is sometimes much needed. But to your point, yeah, I think it's interesting because I already know, kind of like you were saying a few minutes ago, I already know that when I see that, 6 figures in my market value right here, it's going to be cool for a second. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be like, I'll, give myself a little pat on the back. But it's just a stepping stone in a much larger plan. And yeah, I would imagine that feeling will come to pass, feeling of excitement will come to pass pretty quickly. But still, I do think, and we've definitely talked about this, I do think it's important to celebrate those small victories whenever you can, whether it's a market value, whether it's a certain dividend income goal, whether it's, name whatever goal it is. I think it's important to celebrate those small victories, if for no other reason, just to remind yourself that the hard work is paying off, number one, and number two, you're headed in the right direction. And I think sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that when you are so wrapped up in the week-to-week monotony of just contributing to your portfolio and not even thinking about it, and just week in and week out doing the boring work, which is necessary, right? Like, you can't reach these stepping stones, you can't reach these milestones without doing that tedious, boring work. But sometimes I think we owe it to ourselves to pull ourselves out of it, even for just a moment, to recognize what that boring and sometimes grueling and frustrating and difficult work and those sacrifices, sometimes we do need to pull ourselves out of that and just see what it turns into, because it's pretty dang magical. And man, that's so wild to know. Even without contributing a single penny more, you'll be closer to $10 million 30 something years from now than you will be closer to $5 million. And that just speaks to the power of compounding, but also the importance of time in all of this. And that's why when I saw that Schwab post that I was talking about a few minutes ago, that's why I was like, yes, let's keep that going. Let's see if we can get that, take it from 32 down to 27. Let's see, like, in a few years, maybe not a few years, maybe in a decade or a couple decades, that 27 will be 22. And then eventually it'll be down to 18. And possibly even younger. We're still seeing that in small amounts, but I what a time to be an investor. I'll just leave it right there.
It's always a time to be an investor. I
That's true.
think more and more of us are realizing that truth. And, whatever it is, maybe it is, the benefit of social media these days and kind of, all the hype in creating posts and content around all of it and showing people that, like, hey, the average Joe can make it, and this is how. Mm-hmm. But look, I just want to say this. I think everybody out there needs to really sit down with themselves and write down a goal that you would be nervous to tell a friend about. And then go to your 2 or 3 closest friends and tell them. But don't be like, I'm going to try to hit, 20. No, I am going to X, Y, Z. Because for me, for what I've found in my experience, there's a big difference. I was just on the phone with someone I love more, than any, truly my actual blood brother, my brother. And we were talking about his next career move. And he was asking me these questions about like how to frame, certain questions to a certain fund manager. And he's also a finance in the realm of finance. And it was an honor for me to help guide him in this direction, because he's going from research into something very different. And I just told him straight up, it's the way you succeed, not only just in this business and in this industry, but moreover in life, is how you think, but more so how you speak, how you articulate yourself. And when you're in front of somebody, whether it's a close friend, a CEO, or whomever, if they're intelligent and they're aware in like their peak state, they'll listen to every word that you're saying. Like when I sit with someone, I listen to every single word. When I hire somebody, you better believe that interview, every word that comes out of your mouth, I'm listening to it. I'm questioning why that word and not this word, why that sentence and not this, what was that, right? And the reason why I'm doing that is because when you make that statement, I will hit, I am going to hit, you're automatically turning on your energy levels like a radio, just up the notch, right? To be like, I'm getting jazzed up. I'm going to hit this no matter what. Burn the boat status. And so
Yeah.
why I'm saying this is because, one, I think everybody needs to sit down and actually put a legitimate goal down. One that kind of scares you. Go tell 2 or 3 friends. Go smash that freaking goal and then celebrate and enjoy it a little bit.
Would you say that the more certain you speak about it, instead of saying I'm trying to do this or I'm shooting to do this, and then saying I'm going to do this, what difference do you think that makes? Why do you think that's better? That little bit of extra certain commitment is better than just a lukewarm I'm going to try.
So this is a great question, man. I work with a lot of people in coaching. Again, career, mental health, all that. And again, it all comes down to what you say. And a lot of what you say isn't for other people. It's for you. How you speak is a reflection of you. So when I sit with a lot of people and I hear them say, I am trying to do X, Y, and Z, I say, you know what that means? They go, what? I go, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So let's put it like this.
Kind of like giving yourself an out.
Yeah. I'm trying to get 8 hours of sleep every night. Okay, so if you are trying, then you're not doing it. And now we can analyze something. Why aren't you doing it? That's the real question. Who cares? Operating on an executive level, which in my life is like, that's just the way. You're either doing or you're not. I don't care about gray areas. When I have someone on the team, and it's not like I'm sitting here and I'm gonna, blast someone because they're not doing X, Y, and Z. They're not executing. But if they're not executing, you better believe we're gonna have a conversation about it. I'm not gonna micromanage you. I'm going to literally give you the reins because I trust you, I believe in you, and I want you to succeed. But the real question is, do you trust you? Do you believe in you? Do you want to succeed? And so it's that. Now when you access this framing, and you're really activating here the reticular activating system within your brain, right? What you think then becomes what you see, and what you see becomes your reality. It's the classic, blue car, and all of a sudden I'm seeing 80,000 blue cars out my window, right? It's like they were always there. I'm just realizing it now. And so the same thing is with money. You start to become financially literate. And all of a sudden you get this abundance of finance. It's like, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's just you become focused on that aspect of your life. You become hyper aware. And so this is key. This is key for executives, for framing, I think for everybody. But the reason why this is so important is because once you activate that, and then you go into this mode of simplicity, black and white, I either am or I am not, we get to a truth. And that objective truth, while it may not feel so great, right? You think if you're overweight, I'm 350 pounds. I'm not where I want to be. I'm trying to get in shape. Get in shape. I will get in shape, right? It's a different mindset, and it's going to push you and propel you. And so anybody out there who's saying, I will, but your case, I will hit I'm trying to hit 100,000.
So I'm glad
you just said I will do it and any means necessary, and you popped in an extra $100, and boop, your account it's 100,000.
Well, I'm glad we're circling back to this because I wanted to take everything you just said and apply it to something that I'm going through with my own goals. So going back to that episode that we filmed going into this year about, our 2025 goals, my initial portfolio value goal was what I'm about to hit, $100,000. But my good friend Ari challenged me to set a goal that I'm maybe not as comfortable with. And you challenged me to bump that up from 100,000 to 125,000. And I remember at the time thinking, I don't know if I can do that, but let's set that goal and see what happens. And I'm almost hesitant to, even now, I'm hesitant to say I'm going to do it. Not because I don't think I can, but because I'm also have like other goals that are getting in the way of this 125K. We've talked about this before, but like I'm really trying to set aside cash like outside, like not earmarked for investing, just safety net, some of it to put into this Walmart store now, like potential new house fund. But really what that money is for as time goes on, I'm actually about to spill the beans on something really big. So, and you already know.
I know what it is. I'm so excited.
So my wife and I are I actually need to save money for a second car because for the last couple years now, actually 2 years, I think 2 years, we've only been sharing one car. But in the near future, like in a few months, we will find ourselves in a position where we're going to need more than one car. And the reason that we are going to need more than one car is because your boy's going to be a dad. I'm going to be a dividend dad.
Let's go.
I haven't announced this. I know. I haven't announced this on the main channel yet. So you guys over here on the deep end are getting that exclusive news. But it's true. I've known since like January or February. Ari's known for at least a couple or a few months now. It's been so hard not to talk about it. But yeah, we're due like at the beginning of October. So really cool news. We're having a girl too, by the way. I know that's probably a question that's going to pop up. And I don't know if I even told you that. Did I? Did I tell you that?
No, you didn't tell me that yet. Wow.
Oh well, yeah, we're having
You're gonna be a
little
girl
lady.
dad, man.
I know it's crazy.
I've heard so many. Like I literally just the other day I was reading a post written by one of my friends, and he's a girl dad, and like, dude, I would love to be a girl dad, when that day comes, if it comes. But man, first of all, I just want to say this: if you're a girl dad out there, if you're a dad, let us know in the comments. If you're a girl dad, also let us know in the comments. Help our boy Ryan out with some fatherly advice, anything that lessons learned. I'm sure it would be appreciated, and I think it would be good for just everybody to learn, because let's be honest, any life lessons we instill in kids are usually amazing life lessons for everybody.
That's a great point.
But anyways, Ryan, go for it.
You guys give me some help in the comments there. I'm all ears, really. But what I was going to say is, like, for all of those reasons, I think that's going to get in the way of hitting this lofty 125K goal. And I'm really thankful. I'm really thankful that you pushed me to like reach for more than what I set for myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I need that. I need a friend like that. So thank you. And I don't want it to sound like I don't want to. how do I say this? Based on everything you said, I don't want this to sound like a cop out. Like I'm telling you now, I'm not going to hit it. But it's not because I don't think I can. It's because I think there are other priorities that are taking precedent over that 125K goal for this year. I think holistically, zooming out beyond my portfolio, I need to build cash. I need to have a safety net. Even more so now with that big news. Like, I just need to have that.
You
And
see,
so I
that
think
what
that's
you
getting
just
in the
said is
way.
important. You just said something incredibly important, and it's in the statements that you're already making. Again, I'm listening to every word and analyzing very quickly everything that's said here.
That's what scares me.
Look, when people get like when I'm working with people, like, look, I see it's beautiful, it's amazing when you call people out for what they're actually saying versus what their mind thinks they're saying, right? And then you see the results of that, because then they literally get in the tunnel vision with you and they're like, yes, focus, refocus. So, but what you said was very important. You said, okay, first of all, I'm not going to hit it. Not going to hit the 125.
Unless my portfolio sees like a 15% gain between now and the end of the year. Or
Right.
20% probably.
But then you said that you have other priorities, and this is the key. I need to X, Y, and Z somewhere else. And so I think it's perfectly acceptable to have other priorities right now and to focus on those other priorities that are the necessities. The necessities will become what you hit. Done deal.
So with that said, I will give you a goal that I will 100% hit without a doubt. I'm actually going to give you
Hold on.
I'm going to give you a few of them.
Yeah.
So one goal that I know for sure I will make, without a doubt, I will make sure that I'm hitting this goal is when we buy this new car, I'm not having a car payment. I am dead set on not having that overhead. It's been it depends. I'm okay with either. Just we'll have to see what's out there when the time comes. Realistically, we're not.
Are you doing mom van, like soccer mom van, or not there yet?
No, I don't think that necessarily.
The
I think we'll get
dad van.
I know we'll get some sort of SUV though, something with 4-wheel drive, something with plenty of room. Maybe something like, because we have a Honda Civic, so I think maybe we were kind of talking about Teslas at first, but the more I think about it, the more I don't know that I feel ready for an electric car. And so I was at the Honda dealership, just took our car in, and they had a lot of great inventory, a lot of nice CRVs and HRVs that looked reasonably priced. So I think something like that is definitely going to be up our alley. But we'll see. We'll see when the time comes. But yeah, I think if I can get out the door for less than $30,000, then I'll be happy. That's kind of like the upper end of the budget that I'm setting for myself. But dude, I'm seeing cars that are, 25K and below. So we'll see what happens. Like ideally, I'd pay cash for a car and I would still have like a good chunk of change left in my high yield savings account. So every single month, I have about $20,000 in there right now. Every single month, I'm trying to add at least another $1,000 to that amount. So when the time comes to pull the trigger, we're ready for it. You know what I mean? So, and that's getting in the way of investing.
I think that's totally fine. That's totally acceptable, because where it becomes unacceptable is when somebody prioritizes something else, doesn't know they're prioritizing that something else, and then fetches or complains, for everybody out there, complains that they didn't hit this particular goal when their whole priority was over there. And that's, I think, it's a big problem, in society. It's a big problem across the board. When I hear people complain, I literally am like, let me see your schedule. Right? Like that. It's as simple as that. Let me see your priority list. Let me see your goals, and let me see your schedule. I had, a good friend of mine. I guess he's not that good of a friend, but he's just a friend in the circle. And he goes, "Yeah, man, I'm also trying to pass the SIE." Cool. He's on his second attempt. I'm like, dude, let me see your schedule. Because he was like, "How'd you pass?" Like in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. You know what I did for 2 weeks? My head was in a book. I didn't speak to anybody aside from you on the deep end, like some other people, 2-3 other people. And I walked my dog. My dog was like my like behind me snoring all day. You know, like, are we going to go out? I'm like, no, I'm in the series. I'm in the SIE, right? Like, that's what I'm doing. And that's the thing. I went on one date. I even told her on that date, I'm like, I'm in the SIE right now, like, and the day of the SIE, it was actually very nice of her. The day of the SIE, she texted me. It was her birthday. She texted me though, good luck on the SIE. I said, I already passed. I passed it after she texted me. She's like, wow, but look, why does all this matter? Because where you prioritize and focus, you will achieve. It's as simple as that. And for people who get this backwards and who think, even for a second, that you could just have the whole pie or even a slice of the pie without going to the freaking supermarket to go get the pie, you're not going to have the pie. Like, you're going to get what you focus on. You're going to get what you do. You're going to, like, that's it. It's as simple as that.
So in a nutshell, setting goals, the verbiage and how you set these goals matters, because if you're just trying, if you're at all flimsy in your attempt to reach that goal, you're already, in a sense, you're already setting yourself up to potentially fail. Versus if you don't give yourself that option, then you will make sure that you do that which you set out to do. And also setting goals in general, setting those firm of goals, or being that firm about it, gives you like an uncloudy and a super clear sense of direction, right? Is that kind of what this all boils down to?
It's the classic war strategy of literally burning your boats. You're going to get on the island. You can't go back. So you're going forward, and you're going to die if you don't. And this is, is it intense? For sure. 9 out of 10 people out there listening to this, almost 10 out of 10 for the most part, probably are listening to me right now. They're like, that's way too intense. But you know what? That is, in fact, why only 1% is the 1%.
So do you think that you have to pair that intensity with how you speak about those goals? You have to pair that intensity to something that's probably realistic for you to set, right? Because otherwise, if you're starting from scratch, let's talk about investing. If you're day one, brand new investor, and you're like, you know what, do or die, I'm going to hit $100,000 in my portfolio this year. I know it's March 3rd. I know I can only invest probably like $100 a month, but I'm going to hit $100,000. Like, you have to be realistic in where you're at and where you're trying to get to, don't you think? And if you can set something that's realistic, maybe to your point, like, stretch it a little bit, something beyond what you're really comfortable with. Maybe give yourself a little bit of uncertainty, a goal that may be a little bit uncertain, because that forces you to reach and maybe work harder than you thought you could, which maybe is the whole point, doing something that you don't think you can do, but do that within reason, right? To where it's not super unrealistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. You being realistic with yourself is key. You need to know yourself very well. It's kind of like the investor profile. Before you start investing, you got to know yourself as an investor.
Yeah.
As a goal setter, you got to know literally just your traits, your habits, where you are, like, be real with yourself. Because I will say, for that guy who's waking up right now and he's like, crap, I want to hit $100,000. Is it doable? For some out there listening, yes, it is. And for some out there listening, no, it's not. If you're making minimum wage right now, then probably it's not at all. That's a crazy goal. But if you're making $150,000 and you're living, I used to live in Manhattan off of Wall Street in one of those, apartments. If you're, down there on Wall or wherever, in Manhattan, anywhere in Manhattan's astronomical. So you got to ask yourself a question. If my real goal is to hit $100,000 in my bank, in my brokerage account, I'm making, six figures, 150, 125, even 100,000. I'm making 100,000. Can I move? I'm to Jersey City. No, Ryan, if anybody's from the East Coast, they're gonna get this, right? You're at the, to, You're at, the, Hoboken, right? You're getting off the island. Can I move? I'm to Jersey City. No, Ryan, if anybody's from the East Coast, they're gonna get this, right? You're at the Hoboken, right? You're getting off the island. You're getting off the island. Right? You're getting off the island. You got to do it if that's your real goal. What are you willing to lose in the pursuit of getting your goal? What makes me a very dangerous player, I'm willing to lose everything.
Dang.
Like,
I
man,
think
I will outright say this right now, and it's magical, man. You found your wife, you're building this beautiful family, and I look back at last 5 years at least. I had an angel of a woman in Manhattan, a beautiful, like the best, bright, driven, beautiful. We just weren't aligned religiously. That's a big thing. And so instead of folding on what's really, really important to me, I walked. We walked amicably, and we were still friends. Like I sent her a message a couple weeks back. I was like, "You're still an angel." Da da da. Like amazing. And then, as you know, man, I just went through a recent breakup because, like, just a lot of wacky reasons, right? But I walked from that because it really wasn't aligned with where I was going. And so, damn, I'm like sitting here. I'm like, damn, like Ryan's having a baby. I'm going to Mykonos, like, right? But I'm like, dude, I made decisions, right? I'm making decisions that are aligned with where I want to go and what I need to do, and full faith in knowing that. And by the way, it was funny. I just went on I went to go look at a new apartment, and the guy I was looking at it with, who connected me to this other broker, we were chatting. And he starts talking. He's like, "I got the most perfect, ideal girl for you." And I'm like, "All right, you got my attention. Who is it?" And he starts telling me, and he's like, "She's in commercial real estate, 30s, gorgeous." Shows me a picture, dude. She's stunning, like amazing. And I go to him. Is this your daughter? Like, it sounds familiar. Like, he told me this story, and he goes, "Yeah, it's my daughter." And I literally looked at him. I said, "First of all, I'm touched.
yeah, that's really nice.
That,
Really nice.
that man, I literally said to him, I don't want to say his name, but I was like, I'm just going to say, Joe. Whatever. Joe, I go, you are offering me the king's jewel. And I just want to, like, from the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful for that. But in that same process, he asked me if I would be willing to sacrifice something that's so important to me, which is a little bit of my faith. Not entirely, but like my level of religiosity. And I said, no. I said, you know who I am, you know what I'm about, so it's like, we can't get distracted. Even though there's going to be a ton of distractions here, you got to have full conviction. You got to have confidence in yourself, where you're going. And man, I'm still stoked for you. And still pursuing my own route of being like, I know if I'm going to build it, if you build it, they will come. And I say all of this because I'm being realistic with myself. I could get into another relationship with someone who's not necessarily 100% aligned on some of the big values. And that's going to cause some choppy problems later. I've been down there. Matrix pill, right? So you also got to look at that. Be realistic with yourself. Realistic
Yeah,
when you
if you
set these goals.
Yeah. Well, that's why I think, man, that's why I think this $125,000 goal was honestly the perfect goal for me to have. And I will tell you what, if I didn't have all this other stuff going on, I would hit that goal. Like, I'd actually be a few $1,000s away from that goal right now, just based on the cash I have set aside that I could have put into the market, that would have gone into the market if not for all this other stuff. And what was I saying? Anyway, I was saying I think this was the perfect goal because $100,000, let's be honest, and this is what you told me, $100,000, that's too comfortable. Of course you're going to get $100,000. You're already at like 80 something, going into this year. Of course you're going to get there. That's not even a goal. That's like a inevitability. So you can't set goals on things that are too within reach. You have to make yourself uncomfortable, and you have to do something that is possible, but is maybe a bit beyond what could actually happen. You have to reach for the stars is basically what it is. And that's why I think this goal was.
Can I ask you this? When we created these goals, were you thinking about baby making?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know this was going to happen. I mean,
okay.
The process was in place, not for TMI.
Yeah.
The process was in place, but I didn't know that the ship had docked, so to speak.
Yeah. See, I think because that's super important. Like, if you were making these goals and then like subconsciously you were even planning for something else, your mind's already off the goal. You need to be all in. And the fact that you're saying now, like, oh, it was it was there, like the context was there, right? It's like your mind was already subconsciously like, well, you're gonna, have these other things, and for me, I'm wired this way, man. It's like, that's it. I'm going to just get that, right? Like, SIE, okay. The company was like, are you sure you could do this in 2 weeks? I was like, yep. Like, boom, done. And you got to be all in. Like, again, I go back to like, and you read a ton of biographies. Likewise, how many times do we read it about the 1% that these guys are laser focused? They are all in or nothing else. And we look up to these, not just me and you, society looks up to these people and we're like, oh, maybe one day I can be like Kobe Bryant. It's like, no, you won't be. You won't be. Because Kobe's up at 4 a.m. when you're still sleeping until 7. And you think 7's early. Yeah, man, I am on a different level. I fear for the people at the conference when I'm coming in this hot.
I'm really excited to hear how that goes and what you talk about. But man, that thought right there, the whole burn the boats thing, I honestly, thinking about just my own journey these last few years, I think that's the only reason I'm able to do this YouTube stuff full time, is because not by my own choice, just by, sheer circumstance, I found myself in a position where there was no other option than to make this work. It was either this or it was I go get some sort of job and I didn't want to do that. To me, that wasn't even an option. So it was like, I'm making this work or else I'm done for. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I think it was only because of that lack of safety net, that lack of having any other option, that I was able to make something out of this. And it doesn't have to be that way. Like, you couldn't have a job and make this work and work at it on the side and whatever. And that's what I was doing up until the point that I couldn't any longer. But man, I was in a position where I had to go all in. And I've probably said this before, but I told my wife, this was right when we moved to Vegas. I told my wife, I have no distractions. I don't really know anybody here. All I have is you and this, and I will lock myself in this room all day, every day until I make this work. And sure enough, that's what happened. And it paid off. And so, to your point, there's something to be said for that intense focus. Sometimes you need to go to that place. Sometimes, if you want to do something drastic, if you want to do something big, if you want to really change the trajectory of your life, you do have to go in that. You do have to put yourself in that position, right? Don't you think?
It's funny you say that, because you're like, I locked myself in this room, and look, I don't have a wife. I got a dog. So I'm like, look over at my dog. I'm like, it's me and you, pal, for the next 2 weeks, and this is where we're gonna be. And I like bought her phenomenal bones. Just went to the store today. I think I sent you a video or whatever I told you, but I bought her amazing bones. For the last 2 weeks, she's been getting like grade A treatment, but that's it, man. It's lock yourself in the freaking room and make something happen. John Mayer became one of the greatest guitarists of all time. Not because the guy was schlepping around a guitar and playing here and there, but because he literally would lock himself in his bedroom as a kid and just jam. That's all he was doing all day, morning through night. You get home from school, shut the door, in until, way past the late hours of the night. His parents are like, where is this guy? John Mayer in his early years, jamming away in his bedroom. Didn't care about all the other things. And You just, if you want, Kobe Bryant, the same thing. I mean, Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
all of these people, all of these greats. This is what it takes. Ryan, classic example. You've done what I haven't. Put it just point blank. YouTube has been something that's like in my realm of things that I enjoy. But as you know, man, I love corporate. I don't know what it is with me. I like the corporate route. And so when I go corporate, like I go big, man. I launch up to the executive level very quickly. But you, my friend, instead of getting the job, the journey, the JOB, you know what they say, man, journey of the broke. You went ahead to start the YouTube channel, and I look at your channel all the time like, man, Ryan's got almost 100,000 followers. It's so epic. Like I'm super stoked for you. And then I'm like, why don't you have 100,000 subscribers? I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm not full-time YouTube, and I don't make 5 videos a week, and I don't have all like, dude, you crush it on YouTube. Your energy is there.
Thanks, man.
Like boom,
it's focus.
You're doing
it's focus. I mean, if you told yourself, and you don't want to, so it's, you know, you like what you're doing, and that's fantastic. But if it ever got to a point where like, you know what, I'm doing this full time, I'm done with corporate, I'm just going YouTube. If you set your mind to it, you would the same exact thing would happen to you. You know that. And that's good to know. Isn't that good to know that if I ever wanted to, this is there for me? Like, isn't that's got to be refreshing to know that if all else fails, I have this thing. I'm already doing it. It's already working for me. I love this other thing, but if push came to shove, I've still got this.
You know, first of all, I'm the burn your boats guy. I'm the insane burn your boats guy. I've burned the boats before you told me to burn the boats. And then, you know, I'm like, what boats? We never had boats, you know? But I
know how to swim
here, right? It's funny you say that, because the reality is when I made the decision to leave Tip Ranks outright, I wasn't worried, because just like you said, it was like I have the fallback. So don't test me. Don't challenge me, and don't test me, because I am the burn your boats guy, and I've already set the raft up, right? I've set the thing up, the execution plan to do what I need to do. I'm going to make it. And when I walked out of the office, actually the first call I made was to my dad. First of all, I got home. I like took the whole ride home. I had a scooter. I scootered home, and I got home, and I took a breath. Literally, I was like, you're just going to make it. And then I picked up the phone, and I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, I just want to let you know, I walked out. I'm done with that job, and I'm going to make it now on YouTube. And I had the best freaking months I've ever had rev-wise on YouTube. I was having over 10K months on YouTube with like all in, like it was nuts. And that's what happens. It was just like the shift, and then burn the boats. There I am. So yeah, when you're looking at me now and you're like, yeah, you could do it. I could, but my energy's not there. It's like you could hit 125,000, Ryan. I'm telling you, easy yesterday. But
you
right
know
now
what,
your
too,
focus is on something else.
On that note, that would require me, and I've talked to some other people too, just about YouTube and stuff, and they'll say things like, you should have 100,000 subscribers, you should have more than that, and it's like, that's nice, and I know what it would take to get there, like sooner than I am getting there, but those things, I'm really not willing to do some of that. To expedite the growth, you have to make certain kinds of videos, and I just don't know that I want to do that. And taking that stance means that my channel will grow slower, but I think from a long-term perspective, for me, that's the right decision, and I'm cool with that. Like, you know, at the end of the day, this is all, whether it's the deep end or the dividend happy hour or normal videos or the newsletter, this is fun. It's serious because it's a job, but it shouldn't be that serious, because at the end of the day, this is just YouTube videos, and we're talking about this great hobby of ours that has changed our lives. And man, I'm just so enthused to be doing it, and I don't want to lose that enthusiasm. So when it comes to like optimizing for things, whether subscribers is not what I'm optimizing for, it'll happen eventually. If we just keep on keeping on, it'll happen eventually. But that's not my goal. That's not the goal that I've set for myself. The goal that I've set for myself is to continue to do this as long as I can in a way that it supports my livelihood and my lifestyle. If I can keep the roof over my head, just basically afford to live and still do the things that I enjoy and have money to invest and just, take care of everything that I need to take care of financially. If this is all that is for me, then what more could I ask for? And it's grown financially in another aspect since I've started doing it, and hopefully will continue to do so. But I'm not trying to I'm not in a rush to hit a certain subscriber count. I know it'll happen, and I don't want to get there if it comes at the expense of what I think is right. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of people hear that, Ryan, and not understand really what you're saying, and so I want to say it a different way. What you've really done, and I've done it as well with the smaller channel, which is why I'm satisfied with nearly 40K. You've been able to cultivate a loyal subscriber base, a community, which is far greater than some of these hype YouTubers pumping videos out about whatever stock is in favor right now. And when push comes to shove, a lot of these other YouTubers who want to, kind of pump and dump or, hype up certain stocks because that's the trend's your friend, when they go about a big ask of some sort, a lot of their subscribers are nowhere to be found. Or sometimes you see that like some videos take off like a rocket and other videos like 2,000 views. And this is like channels of like 250,000 subscribers. You're like, well, what happened here at this video? It's because the trend's their friend versus you, who I can attest to this because we've had so many conversations about this. Tried and true. Here's your strategy. This is your approach. You're building a community. You're not it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So at the end of the day, it's like, who cares if you hit 100,000 subscribers in a year from now or 2 years from now? Are you enjoying the process?
Well, you're in that boat too. I know you approach it the same exact way that I do.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look, I could have stayed YouTube, full time, and those were fun months, man. I was like, oh wow, 10K YouTube, bing, but I just have a love in my heart. I don't know, it's office politics or whatever it is about corporate. Like I just like it,
Yeah.
So and I like being able to also dabble in a different space to get away from corporate when I need that break. And I like having, of course, the backup option if I ever need it, and it just, again, it makes you, I don't want to use the word invincible, but it kind of makes you invincible because
it does.
Someone can come to you and be like, you know what, Ryan, if you were applying to jobs, which I don't think you ever will at this point, but
I go to
if you
work
were
at
applying
McDonald's
to
or something.
Yeah, and they're like, you know what, Ryan, your qualifications, blah, 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 blah. And you can be like, cool. Like I'm already making all of this money over here, right? Like it's good. I'm not worried. Yeah. That's the freedom. That's the real freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And
I completely agree.
I think too, just to kind of tie in, because we talked a lot about these goals, the real freedom, of setting a goal and working towards that goal. There's a freedom that comes with that. And that freedom is that you are going to be achieving things, even if you give, and it's funny, I'm going to say this. It's impossible to not hit your goal if you put in 100, 110% every day. So you got to be really hard on yourself. The morning I took the SIE, I said, Ari, over the last 2 weeks, I walked to a WeWork to take the test. And on my walk down there, I just was in my head, and I go, you, for the last 2 weeks, have put your head down in the books. You've been living there in the pages. You know every answer to every question coming up. But did you really put in 110% every day, every moment that you were in the book? And you know what? My answer was no. And that's pretty crazy. But what helped me in that moment is saying, if you fail the test, it is because you just answered no. And you just got to be real with yourself.
You know what, man? I think even though you passed the test, I still think you need to go back and study and take it over again, just so you can get that yes.
I don't think did I tell you what happened when I finished the test?
Uh-uh.
So, so I finished the test. The test is nuts. And just when you take it online, it's even crazier. Just the whole the security, like everything they do for this. Anyways, I finally finished the test, and you have to have a detachable camera. They check the room. They check under the table. They check everything. Every little thing they check. And so it asked you like 3 times before you submit the test. Are you sure you want to submit? And I'm like, all right, and then I'm like thinking, do I want to submit? Maybe I want to check again. I finished in an hour. And so I still had about 30 minutes left in the clock to check answers. And I went over 10, to check some of these answers. And I go, you know what? You did it. You did it, Ari. You did the whole deal. So you're going to hit submit. And I was a little shaky, but I hit submit. And then it asked me again, are you sure? Yeah. All right. Let me think. All right, I'm going to hit submit. Hit submit again. And it goes, you are, last message, third one. You are finalizing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, whew, I wanted to do this. I can cancel and go check some more answers. I click that. And then you get the classic little loading thing. It gives you the answer right there if you passed or failed. The camera is still on you. You can't speak during the exam. If you so much as speak, you're disqualified because you could be whispering answers and sign like whatever. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching this thing, and then up on the screen, massive pass.
Nice.
And I just started crying. And
wow.
And the
just
person
because it was like a weight off of your shoulders, or
no, man, it's all the work, man. I might not have put in 100%, and I'm just got to be real. I just got to be real. When I really ask, and I'm so hard on myself, man. When I really ask myself, 110%, you do 110%, Ari? No. And I think I probably upped myself to 85%, 90%, which is still phenomenal in my book. But because I couldn't answer 100%, if I failed, it was like, well, dude, that 10% was everything. Like, ask Kobe Bryant, or any of it, Michael Jordan, any of these guys, 110 or nothing, right? Like, that's the prep work. That's it. That's the real game, is not on the court playing the game. It's the practice. So that's my thinking. And so I just said to myself, okay, when I saw the pass, it was just like, I just cried because I was like, man, this is everything I just worked for. And I'm coming for goals, man. I got some super other cool goals in mind. Like, I want to buy my mom a hat. Like, I just want to do some things that need to be done. I want to help my mom out. I want to take my family on a cruise. I'm not saying I'm passing the SIE and all of a sudden I'm doing these things. But I have a crazier goal in mind that I think I've said before, man. It's $1 million year next year. So
I was going to ask you about that, actually.
I'm all in, man. I'll say it, and I'm going to do it. It's crazy. It's just crazy stuff. But look, I start crying, and you can't talk during the SIE, but the person who's proctoring can talk, and they can make noise. Twice on my test, I heard the guy sneeze and cough. Which I was like, that's not cool. Like, you should quiet down. You can't sneeze and cough on my SIE,
Yeah.
Anyways, he was like, Mr. Gutman, you're still on camera. And I go, I know, I'm having a moment. I was like, I know you're still there because the green light, right? But that's the victory, man. The victory. And that's a freedom. The freedom to feel victory. And it's just like that. Wow, man. Because if you don't feel victory every day, you're a slave, in my book, to all the things that are distracting you from where you need to go, where you want to be, all your goals. You're just a slave. And for me, I'm free, man. Like you victorious. You're free.
With all of that said, I wasn't planning on running today. I'm already about 13, 14 miles in for the week, but I think I might need to go on a jog after this.
Yeah.
No excuses, man.
Dude, you know the reel on what Instagram where it's like someone sits down, like it's the guy who's like sitting down and he's like my off day to relax, and then David Goggins pops up on the screen. That's what I feel it just happened. You know, even I right now I'm like, dude, are you even nearly done studying for the Series 7 tonight? You know, I'm like, damn.
You know what though? Like, all jokes aside, it was probably good. I mean, even though you passed and were reflecting on the input that you had going into the SIE test, it was probably good to get that test out of the way before the Series 7, because whatever reflections you had that made you come to the conclusion that you weren't giving it 110%, you can then adjust and fix and correct going into the Series 7 to make sure that you are, from that point until you take the big test, you are giving 110%.
Yeah. Look, it's a daunting question to ask, and I'm just real. Like, it may sound extreme, but it's real. Most people don't do this. Most people don't operate like this. I don't care, what comments I get from this in the comments. I know some episodes I get like, oh, Ari's crazy off the deep end, whatever. But there's a reality, and that reality is like when you go listen to David Goggins, the guy's running 100-mile marathons with broken bones and this and that. It's a mindset. It's a way of life, and you either do or you do not. And ever since I literally started operating like this, I love it. Because where I'm not executing in life, it's not because I'm not executing, it's just because I don't want to do it. So I'm cool. I'm cool with it. I'm executing in certain areas that I love, and all my passion and all my energy is there. And so therefore it makes it look easy. But if you're struggling in certain areas of your life, it's probably because your real passion isn't there and you're just trying to do something to do it. It's like, you got to ask yourself these deep questions. And when you then reflect and you gain self-awareness, I mean, there's a whole strategy. This is what I coach, man. This is it. And it's getting into these peak states, and it's amazing. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. No, it's all good stuff, man. I think this is a good opportunity too to like pass this on to the audience. Guys, let us know in the comments, what are your goals from now, June 11th as we're recording this, June 12th as you're listening to it. What are your goals from now until the end of the year? What goals do you have that you will, without exception, accomplish? What will you do between now and December 31st? Let us know in the comments what you have on deck. Whether that's inside of your portfolio, outside of your portfolio, it doesn't matter. What do you have? What is your burn the boats goal? Let us know in the comments. I'd be curious.
Can I also add, what was your goal entering the year?
Oh, yeah.
If you feel bold, what was your goal entering the year? Because now we're at the 6-month, crossing here. You're halfway through. Where the hell are you? Are you nearly there? Are you freaking at the start still? Like come on. So what was the goal? And then feel free to reevaluate and be real with yourself and actually saying, okay, the next 6 months I can do this. Because just by the way, when I said that 10%, that could have killed me. I had to get right with myself and saying if I failed, it was because of that 10%. And if it was because of that 10%, what do I do next? And the only other thing that I do next, I mean, I still have my faith. I still do the next right thing, and I take the test again. So I think that's important to realize now. You don't need to like freaking kill yourself because you're barely even halfway there. It's just an opportunity to reevaluate where you're at and be realistic with yourself and having a better understanding of how to set goals and then how to operate to achieve them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said, man.
So Ryan's about to go on a run. We're 20 minutes over what we typically do. And I'm
going to go on a run later.
I just want to say
I'm gonna hit the gym right after this.
No. Yo, did you ever see that David Goggins video when he's running? He's like, "I'm back, mother," and you see that before? It's a reel on Instagram. David Goggins is running next to a car, and the car comes up next to him. They're filming him, and he looks at the car. He's like, "I'm back, MFers, I'm back." And I'm just having this vision of you running in Vegas right now. Dividend Daddy's back, baby. Dude, are you gonna change your username? What's gonna change? The Dividend Dad? Like, is any of that jazz gonna happen?
No, it'll stay the same. I think it'll give me a whole new sense of purpose with this, though, and I think it'll really give me some important perspective that I wouldn't have had before. You know what I mean? I think it'll be really interesting to see how that all changes, but it's only going to be good.
The journey is just beginning. But with that, investors, it's been a phenomenal episode. Amazing to be here in the deep end with you guys. Jump over to Blossom. Catch all of Ryan's recent posts. They've been absolutely fire. You can find our portfolios on Blossom, see what the heck I'm doing in order to get to this 300,000 insane man goal. Watch Ryan crush $100,000 in there. He's just there. Maybe tomorrow. This is going to be big, huge celebratory moment. But all on Blossom for you guys. And let us know in the comments your goals, everything in between. It's been a heck of an episode. Until next week, investors, will catch you all there.